Hi, I'm Ash. I'm a social scientist and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I make videos about sociological topics and things that I find genuinely interesting. Occasionally I make vlogs, so if you're into that sort of stuff, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I aim to post fortnightly. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 10 scary places that you can visit if you dare. But before we get into the video, I just want to give a quick disclaimer / content warning. Some of the stuff might be disturbing for viewers, so viewer discretion is advised. And as usual, I have a blog post to go along with this video that I've adapted for this video. So let's get into the video. Coming in at number 1, Vulture City, Arizona, USA. Vulture City is located in the Sonoran Desert, Arizona, USA. It is known as a ghost town or an abandoned town that was originally a mining town which operated from 1863 to 1942. The mining town was closed following an order from the War Production Board to close all non-essential mines and focus on the war efforts regarding World War II in 1942. As the mine was closed, the town shortly became abandoned, as there wasn't much of a reason for people to stay or still be there. However, Vulture City has been preserved as a tourist spot, and it can be visited from October to May. So why is this place considered scary? Well, there are claims that Vulture City is a very haunted place due to the masses of miners that passed away in the caves. Some of the miners were even hanged from the infamous hanging tree for stealing gold. As well as other stories about awful things that went on in the abandoned mining town, there is one story about the ghost of Jimmy Davis. Jimmy unfortunately got his arm stuck in a piece of machinery one day and then allegedly flung into other pieces of equipment before breaking every single bone in his body and then falling down a mine shaft to his demise. What an absolutely awful way to go. Legend has it that the ghost of Jimmy Davis still haunts Vulture City today, with his cries being heard at night. There have also been claims of sightings of the miners, ghosts, who stole the gold. Spooky. Have you ever been to Vulture City? Let me know in the comments below. Number 2, Old Melbourne Jail, Victoria, Australia. In Melbourne, obviously. So this one is close to home. Well, my new home anyway. I've lived here for 3+ years now, so I think it's fair to call it home. Anyway, the former jail has been turned into a museum. It is located in Melbourne's CBD on Russell Street, and I have walked past it a few times, but I've never been game enough to go in for a tour. Maybe Luke and I can go in one day as a date day. Anyway, the old Melbourne jail has a dark and sinister past. The building began construction in 1839 and it was operational from 1845 to 1924. This jail held some of Australia's most notorious criminals, one of which was Ned Kelly, who was known for his saying, "Such is life," but also for committing heinous crimes. He is that guy who is known for wearing a full suit of bulletproof armor in his final shootout with authorities. During the jail's time, there were over 130 deaths by hanging, and legend has it that cell 17 is one of the most haunted cells in the jail. Reports from visitors have included the feeling of someone trying to grab their throat when in cell 17, and others have felt scratches, tugs, or just being touched or patted by something when nothing is there. Creepy. You can book a tour for about $45 per adult Australian. However, there are no photos or videos allowed during the tour, which kind of sucks in my opinion. Number 3, the Catacombs, Paris, France. The catacombs are underground box type things known as ossuaries. Apologies for not being able to pronounce that. Basically, think of them as underground coffins. The catacombs hold the remains of over 6 million people. These were created to help with the overflow of cemeteries in France. Other than just being downright bone-chilling, ha 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 ha. There are some scary stories about the catacombs that we can briefly cover today. Now, a lot of this information is coming from secondary sources, so do take it with a grain of salt. But allegedly, there was a video camera that was found in the catacombs that had footage of a man wandering around the tombs, sees something, panics, and then disappears forever. This was in the 90s, so I'm not sure how he got in, and I've also heard people say that this is fake, but I don't know for sure. The skeptic in me kind of thinks it's fake. There has also only been one documented death at the catacombs of an old door guard / doorkeeper for a hospital in the French Revolution called Philibert Aspart. Philibert went into the catacombs, and it is thought he lost his light source, got lost, and passed away in November 1793. However, his remains were not found until 1804, which is 11 years later, and the cause of death is unknown. His whispers and screams are thought to haunt the catacombs after midnight. Creepy. Also, apparently people like to go to the catacombs at night to swim, as well as urban explorers creating communities underground there. And I will forever be scared of the catacombs because of that really terrible horror movie that Pink was in. I think it was just called Catacombs, and it just scared me. Coming in at number 4, the Stanley Hotel, Colorado, USA. As soon as I hear about this place, my thoughts immediately go to Stephen King and The Shining, as well as the ghost hunting YouTubers like Sam and Colby. And as many of you know, this is the hotel that gave Stephen King the inspiration for writing The Shining, and what hotel the Overlook Hotel is based on. So why is this place creepy? Well, there is a bit of history with the building, with there being a gas explosion back in 1911 before it opened, but the real scary part is the different rooms that are thought to be haunted. For example, the 4th floor, room 217, and the concert hall. On the 4th floor, hotel guests will often report seeing and hearing children running around, doors that will open and close by themselves repetitively, and plenty of disappearing and reappearing items. Room 217 is known as the hotel's hotspot for paranormal activity, and that's because of an event that took place long ago. And this is the event of Mrs. Elizabeth Wilson. So just a quick fact here, she didn't actually die in this room, but I think people get this mixed up. But people do believe that her spirit does lurk this room from when she did die. So she was lighting lanterns in case of a power outage, and then there was a leak on the 2nd floor. I'm guessing gas leak or something like that. And there was an explosion, and Wilson fell through the floor, but she did survive this. She continued living her life. But obviously since then she has passed. And now guests at the hotel report a really cold sensation in room 217. 217 is also where Stephen King had a dream that inspired the Overlook Hotel. So creepy. And the concert room is a place where guests say that they can always hear piano music. So what do you think? Is the Stanley Hotel haunted? Number 5, St. George's Church, Prague, Czech Republic. St. George's Church was built in 1345, and then it became abandoned in 1968. The roof collapsed, with many people believing the church itself to be haunted or just an area of bad juju in general. However, in 2012, someone wanted to repair it. To raise funds, an art installation occurred with a thesis art student creating statues with sheets over them. They look like sheet ghosts or like people. These artly ghosts have given the church a new light, and word of mouth took off around 2014, especially on social media. The roof was able to be repaired by 2018 once the funds were raised to do so, and the church is only open on Saturday afternoons, but around 150 people come to check out these ghostly statues every week. And yeah, I'll put the photo here so you know what I'm talking about. Coming in at number 6, St. Augustine's Lighthouse, Florida, USA. St. Augustine's Lighthouse is still a working lighthouse, and there's a cool maritime museum tourists can check out if they do take a trip there. Many ghost hunters have advised that it is in fact haunted. However, many others have debunked this claim and have said there's no evidence that it is haunted. This isn't to say that there aren't some stories or leftover energies here. There are many people who report leftover smells of cigars, as well as employees saying they have seen a spectre known as the Man, a ghost who is a man. This man is often seen dressed in a blue jacket and a cap, walking up and down the spiral staircase, and others have reported hearing children's laughter. I believe this lighthouse has also appeared in the TV show Ghost Hunters, but I haven't seen that. Number 7, RMS Queen Mary, Long Beach, California, USA. The RMS Queen Mary is a retired British ocean liner that sailed the North Atlantic Ocean and then became a troop ship during World War II. It was then refitted for passenger service. In the late 1960s, the ship was aging and needed to be retired. It was in 1971 when the ship became open to tourists, only certain parts of it though. And from the 1980s, rumors spread that the ship was haunted once docked, with some people believing the paranormal really exists here, and others believing it was just a marketing ploy to increase tourism. They say that there are over 150 ghosts on board. No one was murdered on the Queen Mary, but many people did die of natural causes, so maybe some of them are still lurking in the quiet corners. I don't know if I could visit a docked ship like this. It just kind of feels eerie, but also kind of interesting at the same time. Number 8, Winchester Mystery House, California, USA. The Winchester Mystery House is absolutely architecturally beautiful. This house belonged to the widow Sarah Winchester of William Winchester, and their story is very, very sad. Their infant baby passed away from a childhood illness, and William passed away from tuberculosis. Sarah, who was also known as Sally, passed away in 1922. But before her passing, she has a bit of a story. She inherited a lot of wealth following her husband's death. She moved from New Haven, Connecticut to San Jose, California. I think I'm saying those right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Where she purchased an 8-bedroom farmhouse. Damn, having money to buy an 8-bedroom farmhouse. Anyway, that farmhouse is now known as the Winchester Mystery House. Construction on the house began in 1886 and kept going all the way to 1922. According to the Winchester's Mystery House's website, the house was, this is a quote, 24,000 square feet, had 10,000 windows, 200 doors, 160 rooms, 52 skylights, 47 stairways and fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 13 bathrooms, and 6 kitchens. That is all a big, big house. Many people have speculated as to what drove Sarah or Sally to build this house. Was it a psychic telling her to? Was she haunted by ghosts? Or was she simply obsessed with construction? I don't know the answer personally, but I mean, if I was in her position and I'd lost my whole family, I'd probably find a project to work on too. But why is this place considered scary? I don't know if Sarah haunts the place herself, but there have been many reports of residual hauntings, so a ghost that is stuck on repeat. Intelligent hauntings, so ghosts who are trying to communicate with us, and they do this by tugging on clothing or gently tapping someone on the back. And also shadow figures, who are said to be roaming the halls, or maybe it's just our eyes playing tricks on us. What do you think lurks in the dark corners of the Winchester Mystery House? Number 9, Nagoro Scarecrow Village, Japan. And I'm sorry if I've said that wrong. Nagoro Scarecrow Village isn't a haunted place, but it may be considered quite creepy to some people, even though the story about this place is quite a beautiful one. It is known as the Village of Dolls, where the dolls outnumber living people. The dolls are meant to help combat loneliness from loss rather than scare people or birds away like actual scarecrows. The town used to have around 300 inhabitants, but as of September 2019, only 27. There's no further data on that. According to Wikipedia, in the early 2000s, Tsukimi Ano, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, whose family left the town when she was a child, but returned later on to look after her father, made a doll similar to him. This doll was then placed in a field, and she ended up making a lot more. Over 400 dolls, and now at least 350 of those dolls are in this village. Many people have followed in her footsteps, making dolls to help the town feel less lonely. One thing is for certain, you'd never feel alone in this little town. And coming in at number 10, Port Arthur, Tasmania, Australia. I've never been to Tasmania, but it would be awesome to go there because it just looks awesome. Anyway, Port Arthur is a former convict settlement for the worst of the worst criminals. From 1833 until 1877, this was a penal colony. It was based on the separate prison typology, so that means keeping prisoners in solitary confinement. This was a form of control so that guards could destroy the identity of the inmates and in turn have more control over them, which is so awful. Port Arthur had a lot of psychological torture, with inmates even being forced to stay silent with the silent system. So basically they wanted them to go insane, I guess. And in 1996, the town was subject to one of the worst massacres in history, which is really awful. So on the 28th of April 1996, there was a mass S-word where Martin Bryant murdered 35 people and injured 23 others, which led to changes in Australia's gun laws. And he is currently serving 35 consecutive life sentences in prison. Absolutely awful. As so many people have passed away here, it is said to be a very, very haunted place. People have reported seeing a blue lady, a woman who wears a blue dress, and the legend about her says she and her infant baby both died during childbirth, so she frequents the area looking for her unborn child. Some have reported seeing a little girl who had fallen down the stairs at the commandant's house, and others have heard children's laughter and whispers. Have you been to Port Arthur in Tasmania? Let me know if you have, and let me know what feelings you've had while you've been there. So that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you've been to any of these places or if you'd like to visit any of them. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. We are such a small community, so any help is much appreciated. Thank you. Anyway, I'm Ash, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!